Well, good afternoon and happy Thursday, everyone. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, where I take you through and talk about 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 p.m. newscast. Wherever you're watching right now, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream page, I want to, of course, thank you for watching and spending a little of your Thursday afternoon here with me. It is certainly hot out there, a first alert weather day in effect today due to the heat across the Tennessee Valley. I hope you're all staying cool, and what better way to stay cool than to eat some ice cream? What is the best flavor of ice cream? That's the 48 Facebook question of the day, and I really want to know what you all think. So make sure you all stick around for the end of today's Before the Four, and I'll show off some of my favorite comments from today's Facebook question of the day. But with all of that said, I think it's just about that time we jump into today's top stories. And of course, let me pull it up for you all right here. Yes, starting things off in the Shoals, 48's Aria Pons is working to learn more about an officer-involved shooting in Colbert County. 2 officers are now on leave after shooting an armed suspect in a pursuit across state lines. Aria will have more on this story coming up. And I said it before, and as I mentioned earlier, today is a 48 First Alert weather day for the 3rd day in a row. And the heat is certainly not helping the ongoing drought here in North Alabama. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with what you need to know about this ongoing drought.
Yeah, AJ, the drought monitor came out today. It pretty much as we expected. We're going to talk about that in a second. Temperatures, you briefly saw those where it has been raining. In fact, we do have some showers out there, but notice they're all pretty much in the southwest corner of the viewing area. Some stronger thunderstorms near Smith Lake. This is just before 3:30. This afternoon on a hot Thursday. Heat advisory continues in areas that haven't had rain. But AJ, as I mentioned, the drought, and see up here, this is extreme drought, and the next phase will be exceptional drought. And it's really bad across northwest Alabama right now. We've got severe drought conditions, but I wouldn't be surprised if this red area here gets expanded next week to include all of northwest Alabama, and the severe drought move to the east as well, because even though we have some showers and storms in the forecast, it's not going to rain everywhere equally. Here are the temperatures just before 4 o'clock. It's rain cooled and 78 in Russellville. What we're hoping is we can get some of these boundaries from the thunderstorms here to kind of track north and trigger additional showers and storms in these areas, because as you saw on the drought monitor, they really need the rain most, especially over there where some of those wells are starting to dry up. But nonetheless, a very hot one over the next 3 days. 98 tomorrow. Storm chances continue. I think they'll be better in the late evening, maybe late afternoon hours, both Friday and Saturday. But as you see here on the big outlook here, most of the rain is associated with an area low pressure that's actually back here moving into Louisiana, in fact, just off the coast. So most of the rain kind of tracks in this fashion, and that's what we've seen today as far as the rainfall. So overall, not the best chance for showers and storms. By tomorrow afternoon, you see a few of them, but they're very isolated in nature, kind of what we have today. But we'll take what we can get. Just your outdoor plans, count on the fact that as we get into Saturday, perhaps a few more of these isolated downpours. If you've got outdoor plans, maybe going to the lake, things like that, just keep an eye on the lightning out there. There are signs of a cool down coming as we get later next week. We're looking at low 80s, maybe consistently low 80s, so another taste of fall. Back to you, AJ.
Well, thank you, Brad. Now a story in case you missed it. A Union Grove man who has lived in the United States his entire life was recently removed from the Alabama voter list. 48's Nick Ballinger with more.
This is a letter that Union Grove resident James Stroop got in the mail. It's a letter that likely 3,200 other so-called non-citizens got when the Secretary of State removed them from the voter list. It says on the first line that Stroop registered to vote with an alien identification number. The only problem? He's been a U.S. citizen his entire life.
I'm like, hey, the election's coming up. I'd like to vote. It's my right. People make mistakes. Things happen. It'd be kind of funny if it was just a mistake, but I feel that some people just seem to jump, on things, and that's the way I feel this whole thing is.
Due to an error on a form Stroop filled out back in 2022, the Alabama Department of Labor briefly identified him as a non-citizen. It was an issue he got corrected 2 years ago. But when the Department of Labor sent its list of non-citizens to the Secretary of State, there was a problem. Stroop was still on the list.
The Secretary of Labor reached out to me. He called me directly, and he apologized for the mistake, and he said that so far that they had had 15 errors that they knew of, and that's just what they knew of.
When I talked to the Secretary of State, Wes Allen, earlier this month, he said that the federal government didn't issue the list of non-citizens when he asked, so he turned to state databases.
We just been running into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, and so we took a little different route, and were able to ascertain a little over 3,200 individuals.
Stroop is now left to wait.
It may be tomorrow, it may be 2 weeks, just hopefully it's before the election.
Well, thank you, Nick. Now another story you may have missed. More people are attending community college in Alabama since 2013. This according to a recent report from the Alabama Community College System. More than 170,000 people are currently enrolled in community and technical colleges across the state. Education officials say there are several reasons for more people attending them than in recent years. And 48's Sarah Grace Kennedy recently spoke with Calhoun Community College officials, and they say students enjoy getting their education at a cheaper price while staying close to home. And that is an awesome story there. Thank you. Now it is Thursday, and
right
you
now,
all know what that means. Crime Stoppers, let's take a look.
This week, Huntsville police are looking for a woman who they say hit a parked car and took off. They know what she looks like and what she drives, and they're hoping you know who she is. This happened in early July at a Circle K on Highway 72. Huntsville police say this woman backed into a Honda Element that was parked at the gas pumps and instead of pumping the brakes, took off. The alleged hit-and-run suspect drives a white GMC Arcadia. If you know who she is, police want to hear from you. Take a good look at Desire Graham. Huntsville police say she's wanted for interfering with child custody. Aaron Williams is accused of writing a bad check worth more than $900. He's charged with theft by deception. And Michaela Daniel is wanted on drug charges as well. She's charged with fentanyl possession. It's easy to earn up to $1,000. If you know where any of these people are, just call 256-53-CRIME. You can also text or email your tips. For more information, visit the Crime Stoppers link on our website, WAFF.com.
Well, thank you, Gina. Now in sports, the 48 Blitz game of the week is tonight, as those fly-high Eagles of Pisgah look to defend their land when the Fife Red Devils come to town. Fife versus Pisgah tonight, and 48's Camder will be there at Pisgah High School covering this game, and she will keep you in the know of everything going on in our evening newscasts. Also, you're not going to want to forget Beyond the Lights Athens Episode 2 is all set to stream tonight at 7:30. Wherever you're watching Before the 4 right now. So that's YouTube, that's Facebook, and that's the 48 Now live stream page. And if you can't make 7:30 tonight, we will also post it on our website following the time it streams. But a great first episode last week following Coach Gross and company. And I'm certainly excited to watch the second episode tonight at 7:30. So make sure you do not forget. Set those timers. Just don't forget. You're going to want to see it. And also, college football is here. And if you're an Alabama football fan, you know that the Crimson Tide will be facing the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers this Saturday. Today, I got the chance to speak with Mr. Kennington Smith. He is a Crimson Tide beat reporter for The Athletic, as he previewed the Crimson Tide season. Let's take a listen to his preseason prediction of what Coach DeBoer and company will accomplish this season. Kennington, do you have any preseason predictions for how this season will pan out for the Tide?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I could say is I comfortably have Alabama in the college football playoff, which you would, excuse me, in the 12-team field, that would almost be a certainty. But there have been, if you look at the Vegas sports betting books, there have been some that have Alabama plus odds to make the playoffs. I have Alabama comfortably in the playoff field. I really love what they've been able to do with roster retention after Kalen DeBoer got there. Obviously, talent acquisition in the spring portal, what they have on the coaching staff and the returning talent. It just feels like a team that's going to be floating around that top 5, top 8 range throughout the year. Will they win the SEC? We have to see. Again, some of the question marks that I outlined, we have to see how those things play out throughout the year. But on paper, this is one of the most talented rosters in college football. They're bringing in a coach who has a track record of elevating talent, and it's a challenging schedule, but I think it's a schedule that's manageable. So the over under, I believe, on Alabama's 9.5 wins. I take the over on that, and a double-digit win season with this schedule. And Alabama's going to be hosting a playoff game in December. So that's my prediction. And otherwise, I'm really just excited to watch how it all plays out.
Super excited for college football, and that was Kennington Smith, if you're just now joining, with The Athletic. He is an Alabama beat reporter, but great interview today. You can check out that full 48 Now interview on our website at waff.com. We talked a lot about Alabama football, but we also talked about other teams across the SEC, and we talked a little bit about Auburn as well. But just head over to digital shows and finally 48 Now for that full interview. And also, let's take a listen to this.
Before we go, you got to give me a ho, kid. You ready?
That's right.
Let's go, brother. Ho!
Oh! Yes.
That's a good ho.
Yes. That's right. Don't you forget, tonight is the night that wrestling icon Hacksaw Jim Duggan is coming out to Toyota Field. 2x4 in hand, and you already know he's going to throw out that first pitch before the Trash Pandas take on the Tennessee Smokies. He'll also be signing autographs, so it would be the perfect time to bring in a 2x4 for Mr. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to sign. The Trash Pandas are allowing it for just tonight that you can bring in a 2x4 for him to sign. So definitely got to take advantage of that opportunity there. But yesterday I got to interview him for 48 Now. And let's listen to a little of what he had to say. Trash Pandas game tomorrow here in the Rocket City. First, Hacksaw, what do you enjoy most about these kind of events at ballparks?
Well, I do a lot of minor league baseball, minor league hockey, even minor league soccer, excuse me. But, you know, I kind of sweat the minor league baseball because sometimes I have to throw out the first pitch.
That's right.
And this poor old arm is broke to pieces. But I tell folks it's like a wrestling event. If you've never been to a minor league ball game, especially like the Rockets, there's something going on. They have contests. They have the mascots. They give away T-shirts. They have old school wrestlers there. They have something for everybody. So it's a fun night out.
That's right, absolutely. And have you happened to have a chance to head out to Toyota Field yet, or is this going to be your first time?
Oh, this will be my first time at Toyota Field, but I've been to Huntsville many times. That's one thing about professional wrestling. You know, we go all over the world. It's amazing the appeal of professional wrestling, especially the golden age guys, you know, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Jake the Snake. People just tend to remember that era. And I got to tell you, brother, it's humbling to have so many folks come out to like the ball game. They have the wrestling cards. They have the action figures, to stand in line to get autographs. They say, hey, thank you, Hacksaw. I'm like, no. Thank you for the great life for me through wrestling.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And I definitely want to get into talking about those legends that you mentioned, and obviously you being one of them. But first, how does a guy from Glens Falls, New York, end up becoming a professional wrestler? Where did your interest in wrestling originate?
Well, it's been quite a road, that's for sure, my friend. I'm from a small town in upstate New York, but I had a great high school career. My senior year, I won the New York State Heavyweight Wrestling Championship undefeated. My shot put record still stands in my high school today, over 50 years. I'm going to get those kids some Cheerios And football was my main sport. So I was recruited by Ohio State, Woody Hayes, Paterno at Penn State. But I ended up going to Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, where just on a fluke I met Fritz von Erich, and he suggested I could try wrestling. But I blew him off. I said, I'll be in the NFL for 10 years. And I just blew off the ad opportunity. I went to the Falcons in 1977, had 2 knee surgeries. I went up to Canada in 78. I was an offensive guard, dime a dozen. I called Fritz back up, and he gave me the gift of pro wrestling. Because back then, if you weren't somebody's son or second generation guy, you didn't get in. Now there's wrestling schools everywhere. There's wrestlers all over. Back then, it was a very closed business. So for Fritz to give a complete outsider opened the business to me was a huge gift.
Gosh, such a great guy right there. I had an absolute blast speaking with the one and only Hacksaw Jim Duggan yesterday for 48 Now. That full interview is also on our website if you'd like to give it a watch. Now, if you find yourself traveling this Labor Day weekend, you might like to know what to expect on the roads this holiday weekend. Recently, I spoke with Clay Ingram with AAA Alabama, and let's take a listen to what he said will be busy travel destinations here in the state of Alabama. And welcome back to 48 Now. I am digital host A.J. Wuest, and today I am joined with Mr. Clay Ingram. He is with Alabama AAA, and Clay, I know Labor Day is coming up. Labor Day weekend is especially coming up. First, what are some trends that you've noticed about Labor Day historically, looking back at Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, it's all a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And, it's Labor Day is kind of the unofficial end to the summer travel season because most of us have our family vacations behind us. School is starting back for pretty much everybody. And so it's kind of the last opportunity for a lot of people to get away for an extended weekend, whether they're going to the beach or going to Disney World, Universal Studios, someplace like that. And a lot of people take advantage of that last opportunity because we won't really have another holiday until Thanksgiving. And so the beaches will be busy. Any of the warm weather places will be busy. Even the state parks around Alabama will be crowded, and it's just going to be a lot of people on the road. And this year we're going to see a pretty big increase over last year's numbers, about 9% busier than just last year's Labor Day weekend. And I think that kind of follows the trend for most of our other holidays we've seen so far this year, in that they've been busier than any previous holiday of that time period. So it looks like 2024 is most likely going to set the record for the busiest travel year of all time. And the Labor Day weekend will certainly fall into that category as well.
Right, and you mentioned like this year, especially this summer being the busiest travel year. What do you think is the reason for that as opposed to last year? Why is it more busy this year?
Well, a little bit of that can be attributed to sort of our natural increase in population. We increase, a little less than 1% from one year to the next with our population. But I think the primary reason is that we feel a little more comfortable traveling again. We've really kind of put the pandemic behind us, I think. COVID is still out there, but we've kind of learned how to cope with it and how to protect ourselves. And we most all of us feel a little more comfortable getting out and about. And there's been still a little bit of pent up demand for travel. And, nowadays, most people consider a vacation or a getaway of some kind to be more of a necessity than a luxury. And most of us are willing to sacrifice some other things during the year to make sure that we're able to take a trip or two every year so that we can kind of get a break from our hectic day-to-day lives.
Very true. And what are some areas maybe here in Alabama you're really expecting there to be an influx of people this weekend, like some key travel destinations?
Yeah, here in Alabama, the number one destination without question is going to be the Gulf Coast beach area. It's just been wildly popular for the last 5 years or so since the pandemic and COVID kind of came into play. That's been a place where people have felt comfortable traveling to because you can socially distance yourself as much or as little as you like there. Most of the things that you do are outdoors, and it's been somewhat of a safe haven, I think, in a lot of ways for people who wanted to travel and go somewhere but didn't want to be, in an enclosed space for an extended period of time with other people who may or may not have had COVID. So it's just been wildly popular, and it continues to be. It's like the beach areas had a little bit of a resurgence in the last 4 or 5 years or so, and it's still going full speed with that. So it's expensive to go down there, where no matter where you stay, if it's a condo or a hotel or whatever it might be, and the restaurants have typically some pretty good wait times at all times of the day, any day of the week, and but it's just a popular place. There's a lot of things to do down there in addition to sitting on the sand out there in front of the water, and so it's by far the most popular destination. But we do still see people going to other destinations. The state park are kind of fall in that same category. And we're fortunate here in Alabama that we have a wide variety of different state parks, everything from the Gulf Coast area to Chiahaw, which is a mountainous state park up there and really beautiful this time of year. And then we've got a number of other state parks with lakes and a lot of other things to do. So that would be the second most popular destination behind the beach.
Very nice. And that was Clay Ingram with Alabama AAA talking about Labor Day travel here. So if you're traveling this weekend, you might want to go check out this interview. It is on 48 Now. Just go to our website, WAFF.com, go to digital shows and then 48 Now. And then, you'll watch the interview there with Clay Ingram. And now we have a little bit of breaking news in the sports category. If you're a fan of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, we mentioned Hacksaw Jim Duggan earlier, but a popular Trash Panda pitcher just got called up to the major leagues. That would be pitcher Caden Dana, who will be making his major league debut for the Los Angeles Angels this Sunday against the Seattle Mariners. So super excited for Caden. I definitely wish him the best of luck. And I got a comment right here from Carrie Thompson. Hope you're staying cool. I hope you are as well, Carrie. If you're watching right now, make sure you're staying cool. And let's talk about the stories you're just not going to want to miss. And then we're going to talk about your favorite ice cream flavors. How does that sound? I think that sounds wonderful to me. So let's talk about some of the stories you're just not going to want to miss. The latest on the Deborah Catledge trial, that is the animal cruelty trial out there in the Shoals that continued today after an unexpected delay yesterday. Get the latest on that situation. Another story you're just not going to want to miss, a free grocery event happening soon in Decatur. Get that story. And finally, another story you're just not going to want to miss, an update on the water shortage going on in the LaGrange community. You heard from Brad earlier about the drought, and the drought is certainly not making that any better. But get the latest on that for these stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. Now it is time for ice cream, of course. And what is the best flavor of ice cream? Let's see what you all had to say. Joshua King said butter pecan. Yes, Tracy Bolt said coffee, peach, and pumpkin. All three great flavors. That is not a a response, but homemade vanilla Bluebell, 100%. Bluebell is my favorite. I grew up eating Bluebell and homemade vanilla. There's also vanilla bean, but just in my opinion, nothing beats the classic homemade vanilla. Will Hampton, I agree. Beth Clark said mint chocolate chip, 100%. Rocky Road is a good one. Superman, I actually didn't know what Superman was, but one of my coworkers, Kate, actually said it is a good flavor. So I decided to choose that one also. Thank you for commenting. If you commented, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. But that is just about it for today's Before the Four. I want to thank you for watching and spending a little of your Thursday afternoon with me here. Make sure you download the 48 digital apps, the 48 Sports Zone app, and the 48 First Alert weather app, and never miss a breaking story. But with all that said, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.